Thank you all. Folks from the foyer could make your way in. We'd appreciate it. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in so fast. You're all so well behaved. My name is Veronica Erb. My pronouns are they, them. I'm honored to welcome you to the Ethical Society of St. Louis. We are a humanist congregation committed to thinking deeply, taking action, and growing together. Whether you are a longtime member, a first-time visitor, or joining us online, welcome. We are glad you are here. Throughout the month of August, we're celebrating Members Speak Month. Each Sunday, we hear from a member of the Ethical Society as they share experiences, passions, ideas that have shaped their lives and reflect on our shared humanist values. In the practice of ethical humanism, wisdom isn't confined to any one voice. We learn from one another through curiosity, reflection, conversation, and the lived experiences we each bring to this community. Members Speak Month is an invitation to listen deeply, ask thoughtful questions, and continue growing together. As we begin, let's take out our devices and make sure they are silenced so that we can be fully present with one another. Yay. No one will judge you if you do it now, but they will judge you if it rings later. Just kidding, we're very nice. Our musicians this morning are Acoustik Element, an instrumental group whose signature sound blends Latin and jazz influences around the nylon-string guitar. They're known for reinventing familiar songs while also staying true to Latin and jazz standards. They'll begin this morning with Sway by Pablo Beltran Ruiz. As you listen, notice the rhythm underneath the melody and the way the music illustrates movement so beautifully. Please join me in welcoming Acoustik Element. Thank you, three. That makes me, it's hard to stay in my seat during that. It's hard to stay in my seat during that. I really want to get up. Yeah, and today's musical guest, folks, is a great time to practice your rhythm. I know a lot of people just sit there and listen, but you could like tap your hand or your foot maybe. It just like really brings the music home. I don't know, just consideration. I'm already looking like a goof up here, so help me out. Okay, at the heart of congregational life is relationship, like dancing together. Okay, this is a hard sell. Sharing our stories helps us understand one another more deeply and discover our common humanity. This morning, we have invited Ethical Society member and board trustee Judy Lohaus to offer a personal reflection. Come on up, Judy.
How am I doing? Nope. Okay. Good morning. One of ethical culture's guiding core values is I am free to choose what I believe. But what do I believe? My paternal grandfather was a Protestant who regularly changed churches after arguing with the pastor, then moving my father to yet another Sunday school. My paternal grandmother ceased attending her Catholic church after marrying my grandfather. My maternal grandmother, at age 12, stopped going to church because she refused to be confirmed in German. My paternal grandfather didn't attend church in my lifetime, but read his Swiss German Bible daily. My mother was a quietly devout Lutheran, devout in the best sense of the word. My father was an agnostic. As a child, I had perfect attendance at Lutheran Sunday school. I attended church regularly as an adolescent and whenever I was home. Our pastor, Gary, led the church for 50 years. A very good and devout man, his devotion eventually destroyed his marriage and alienated most of his children. He essentially cheated on his family with God. He was exceptionally kind to my parents in New Jersey as I had moved to St. Louis permanently and worked full-time. While talking about faith at dinner with Gary and my husband in the late 2000s, Gary told me that my religious philosophy lay exactly halfway between that of my mother and my father. As a young adult, I became increasingly aware that my Lutheran church services seemed, for most folks, to be a mindless recitation of the order of service. Our Father, pause. Who art in heaven, pause, and so forth, indicating to me that no one thought much about what they were saying. No one had to look at the service book. I suppose some people find that comforting. I don't. Frustrated, I rarely attended church in my adulthood. Instead, I began asking myself what I did believe. I've read a bit about the history of the messianic fervor in the century surrounding Jesus' preaching and discovered that many men had been regarded as the Messiah. I'm not at all sure that Jesus was any more special than the others, but I do believe that the precepts of morality he preached apply to believers and non-believers alike. I don't worry about whether Jesus is the Son of God. I'm pretty sure that I believe in a God, but I just don't know who or what God is. Is he simply the Big Bang? Did he create everything, metaphorically or otherwise, and then sit back and say, okay, humans, I've given you everything you need, and you're responsible for taking care of it? For me, that resolves the problem of evil in the world. We humans cause it or suffer it to exist. I drove past the Ethical Society for years and was curious but never attended. Now in retirement, I'm here regularly and am a member of several groups. You recently did the honor of electing me trustee. I no longer lie awake at night asking myself what I believe. I have found my people.
Thank you, Judy. That's just so refreshing and wonderful. I know folks here some folks kind of twitch when they hear the word God, and I really appreciate you sharing that everyone here can have their own variation on those beliefs. That's great. If you're twitching, let me share again, this is a very reassuring touch you can give yourself. So just hold that in your lap and maybe you'll feel a little Okay, each week we read our youth education core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. Today we're having Mike Jones up to read them.
Every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everyone. I'm a part of this earth. I cherish it and all the life upon it. I learn from the world around me by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I'm a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build for the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what I believe. I accept responsibility for my choices and actions. I strive to live my values.
These values are more than lessons for children. They are aspirations for all of us, guiding how we learn and grow together as a community. Thank you, Mike. Next, Acoustik Element returns with their second selection, Europa. As you listen, you might notice the way the melody builds, stretches, and intensifies over time. Please welcome Acoustik Element back to the stage. Thank you. That's a lovely piece to lead into the Mindfulness Minute. Also, I forgot to say that that piece was by Carlos Santana. Before our main address, let's share a minute of silence. I invite you to notice your breath, settle your attention, and prepare yourself to listen to today's presentation with an open mind and a willing heart. Thank you all. Our speaker this morning is Dennis Roach. He is a familiar face to many in our community. Dennis and his wife, Kayla Vaughan, have been members of the Ethical Society for 35 years. Yes. Woo. I was 5 when you guys started coming here. Oh no, now you know how old I am. Oh well. During that time, Dennis has served on our Board of Trustees, spent many years as a youth group leader, and contributed in many other volunteer roles. Today, he serves as chair of our Welcome team and as a member of the Dignity and Belonging team. This morning, Dennis invites us to approach a subject that comes with no shortage of assumptions, associations, and strong opinions: socialism. Ooh, oh no. His talk will explore some of the basic principles and historic development of socialism while considering the renewed promise of democratic socialism in American political life. Please join me in welcoming Dennis Roach.
One second. Good morning. My name is Dennis Roach, and my pronouns are he and him. I love the Ethical Society. In the 35 years that my wife, Kayla, and I have been members, we have passed through several phases of life. Our children were the reason we came, but you are the reason that we're here. We stayed. We were sort of young parents. At least we had young children in the beginning. The society has been a wonderful place for our whole family. Now I am in the phase of life where I can attend the men's group on a Tuesday morning. That is where this talk started. I gave a presentation on socialism there and was asked by David Brown if I would give a platform. So here I am. Before getting to my topic, I'd like to share that politics, power relations, and socialism are all things that I've been strongly interested in since high school. Although I did end up earning a college degree at 50, I did not go to college after high school. I went to work and got married. My interest in socialism is lifelong. I spent my college years as an activist. Politics was as absorbing to me as video games are to young people today. I grew up in North St. Louis City and had friends of many races, ethnicities, and religions. In a poor community, you have a great mixture. It was a wonderful time to be young. Movements led by youth created great political change. Huge democratic gains for mass movements for Black power, expansion of civil rights, women's liberation, Native rights, and the anti-war movement were occurring. The collapse of empires in Asia, Africa, and South America occurred. The rise of unions and progressive organizations challenged the status quo and brought the war home. I wanted to be a part of it. I became a labor union activist, protested the war in Vietnam, and read a lot of books on socialism and communism. We had study groups led by workers. We educated ourselves in politics and economics and labor history, often studying original sources. My interest in politics and in the nature of our economic system has never waned. I think I have a basic understanding of it and want to share my perspective with you, which has been influenced by Karl Marx. I want to be clear, I am not going to talk about the DSA. That is a political association. I'm going to talk about an economic system. So, the title of my talk is Beginner's Mind in Socialism. Beginner's mind, or Shoshin, is a Zen Buddhist concept of approaching life with curiosity, openness, and a lack of preconceptions. It means letting go of your assumptions and experiences to experience the present moment and as if you're seeing it for the first time. Letting go of the overlay of your past experiences and what you think you know. This is very important to me to understand the world we live in. 50 years ago, in 1976, I was invited to go to China by the U.S.-China People's Friendship Association in exchange for Chinese workers coming here. We were told that we were the first group of U.S. factory workers to ever tour China. While in China, I read news stories printed in English, French, Spanish, and Chinese. These papers Sorry about the noise. These papers covered the same topics. But they were clearly written by the writer's origin, country of origin. It made a huge impression on me. That's where I learned to view things from different perspectives. I believe that all societies indoctrinate their members to believe theirs is the best system to live in. We live in one that demonizes socialism. The Russians and Chinese demonize capitalism. The thing we must do is consciously weed out the brainwashing and critically analyze the topic to truly understand what the two systems are. Our country is only 250 years old, but think about the astonishing changes in that relatively short period of time. And going back 165 years, we were on the verge of a civil war. There was a great struggle to remove slavery as a source of labor. The agrarian plantation economy was referred to in those times as the slave power. In the North, guilds and unions were growing in power. Workers were demanding more pay, shorter hours, and safer working conditions. The tensions between the rising workers and the system of slavery created a crisis in labor. There were many people that were willing to fight to end slavery because they recognized that unpaid labor was a threat to their ability to survive. And obviously, for non-whites, ending slavery meant freedom, liberation, survival. But do you think the white anti-slavery people saw enslaved people as equal to white folk? No. We white folk had been indoctrinated for hundreds of years by propaganda which held that people of African descent were inferior to white people. And racism is alive and well today because we have not moved past that view that enslaved people were savages and needed to be controlled or shipped back to Africa. For the enslaved, defeating the slave power was a visceral and moral struggle for freedom and survival. For the unenslaved paid workforce, it was a matter of protecting their jobs. The economy had changed, and the North was embracing the Industrial Revolution. For the first time, it was becoming the powerhouse of the economy. Because the rising industrial and financial sectors had to compete with the dominant agrarian plantation economy, it needed to destroy its bedrock, slavery. This contradiction was profound, so profound, that it resulted in a war. This was a major societal shift. But what is a society? A society is a large group of people sharing common territories, culture, and institutions, bound by persistent social interactions, shared values, norms, and a sense of belonging, creating complex structures like families, governments, economies that organize collective life and behavior. It's defined by interconnected elements like political authority, economic systems, religious beliefs, and social structures that provide stability and guide individual roles and relationships, distinguishing it from mere groups of population. But within each society exists the dialectic, the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis. The thesis is that which builds a society up. An example of the thesis at the time of the Civil War was the development of northern industrial capitalism and paid labor. The antithesis, the weakness that hobbled the society, was the slavery that had become an albatross around the necks of the rising working class. The synthesis, which is the resolution between the contradictions, was the Civil War. When this country was founded, the South and its slave system was the driving economy of our nation. But by the 1850s, the Industrial Revolution and the expansion of capital across the North was in direct competition with the slave system of the South. Paid workers realized that slavery was a huge barrier to their advancing. Slavery had to go. Not unlike, it was a huge societal shift, not unlike the one that we need now. Socialism is just part of the economic evolution of economies. An example in the 20th century is the United States has Social Security and Medicare. We are moving towards socialism. Let me explain. Karl Marx is known for developing the theories of communism and socialism, co-authoring the Communist Manifesto with Friedrich Engels and writing Das Kapital, fundamentally analyzing capitalism and advocating for a classless society. His analysis recognized that just as animals evolve biologically, humans evolve socially, and that human societies evolve. I know that his theories may not seem to be directly applicable to today's labor force and job market, but that's just a perception. The analysis still holds true. The fact that the tech workers are using their brains, not their brawn, in no way distinguishes them from being laborers. They are labor in thrall of tech billionaires. Since economies are a part of all societies, it is a challenge to think of economies evolving. So many people believe capitalism is the end result of all economies, instead of a necessary stage in the evolution of our economy. When it comes to economies, what's important to understand is the means and the modes of production. These form a basis of all economic systems and determine the social class relations. The means of production are the physical and non-physical resources, the land, the raw materials, the tools, the machinery, the factories, the technology. The mode of production is a specific way that the society organizes the production, production, the distribution, and the exchange of goods and services. It combines the productive forces, the tools, the technology, and the labor with the relations of production, the social structures, the ownership, the class, to meet the human needs. In the formation of human civilizations, the means and modes have changed. In the earliest times, families formed tribes, and the chief was the one who controlled the tribe. But as our populations grew, we centered power on a king, a queen, a pharaoh, a monarch, whatever you want to call it, and a class of underlings that served that individual. We produced items needed to meet demand, the crops, the tools, the baskets, the storage, etc. So what we did is we progressed from a system of no ownership of means and modes of production to feudal ownership by royalty. Then, the European revolutions of the late 1700s and 1800s to private ownership of the means and modes of production. So society is made up of many things. Among them, social structures, political authority, economic systems, religious beliefs, educational systems. In a capitalist system, all these things are designed to support the economic system, the social structures, the political authority, the religious beliefs, the educational system. They all support the educational system. And this was necessary to move from a feudal system to a newer system based on the acquisition of capital. In a socialist society, all things are designed to support the social structures, the political authority, the economic system, the religious beliefs, the educational systems. They all support what the society needs for the good of the society. You don't ignore the needs of the economy. You just don't rank it as the most important purpose of the society. In a socialist system, the welfare of a people is ascendant. Because a society under capitalism is focused on the economic system, Marx and others noted that capitalism leads to monopoly. Examples of early capitalism was Standard Oil. John D. Rockefeller controlled 90% of the US oil production. AT&T held a monopoly over telephone services. Cornelius Vanderbilt, Jay Gould, and J.P. Morgan controlled the railroads. There were politicians like Theodore Roosevelt and others who fought to break up the monopolies, but with limited success. But because the entire society is focused on the economy, and we do have the best politicians money can buy, monopolies returned. Today's monopolies are Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Meta, which has an immense control over the entire country. An example in St. Louis is John S. McDonnell, who ran McDonnell Aircraft. And he was a member of the Ethical Society, by the way, a very important member. When it expanded, he bought Douglas Aircraft, and it became McDonnell Douglas. It was then bought by Boeing in 1977, which was completing the movement towards monopoly by Boeing. Capitalist economies prioritize private ownership, profit maximization, and free markets. However, this free market thing is really an oxymoron, because whenever there's a regulation on anything to do with the market, it's no longer free. Conversely, democratic socialism focuses on social equity. With democratic control of key economic sectors and strong government regulation to redistribute wealth through services like healthcare, housing, and education. So what might be different as we evolve into a more democratic socialist economy? Capitalism relies on private ownership, free markets, again an oxymoron, and profit-driven production, often resulting in high inequality. Democratic social democracy is a hybrid system, capitalist at its core, but with strong government intervention high taxation, and extensive welfare programs to promote equity. Capitalism relies on private ownership of business and property. Democratic socialism often advocates for collective and public ownership of key industries, energy, transportation, medical, while allowing private ownership of other businesses and personal property. Capitalism thrives on minimum government intervention and free competition. Again, this does not exist in the world. That competition leads to monopoly. Democratic socialism involves heavy government regulation to manage the economy, to reduce inequality, and to prevent monopolies. Capitalism allows market forces to determine income, resulting in high inequality. Democratic socialism utilizes taxation and extensive public services to ensure a more equitable distribution of wealth. The primary goal of capitalism is profit accumulation and economic efficiency. Democratic socialism aims for public welfare, social justice, and meeting the basic needs of all citizens. Right now, the nerd right, or nerd Reich, is rising in power. But Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison are not democratic thinkers. They believe they should rule and are investing billions of dollars to do so. We need to stop it. So I challenge you to reject the misinformation about capitalism and socialism we have been subjected to, and consider what these systems really are. Think about what are the thesis and the antithesis that exist in the world today, and look at, with new eyes, at the rise of democratic socialism in an informed manner. Societies evolve. Our society is evolving towards socialism. Marx urged the workers of the world to throw off their chains and embrace communism. I have a more modest proposal. Unchain your brain. Have a beginner's mind about socialism and evolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Is everyone feeling okay? Okay, good. Just for fun, I went back and took a look at the core values. I think at least 4 of them fall under Shoshin. I can learn from everyone. I can learn from the world around me using my mind, senses, and feelings. I can learn from the past and build for the future. And I am free to question. So it would be very humanist of you to consider these cool things that Dennis just shared with us and that history. So thank you very much. Okay, the Ethical Society of St. Louis is sustained by members and friends who share their time, talents, and resources in service of something larger than themselves. Everything that happens here, from Sunday platforms and youth education to music and social action, is made possible by the people who invest in this community and its mission. If you have been visiting us and have found that this community feels a little more like home each week, we invite you to explore membership. Membership is a meaningful commitment to support our shared mission and help shape the future of this community. Also, you get a name tag, just saying. If you'd like to learn more, stop by the visitor table downstairs after platform. Our volunteers and staff are happy to answer your questions. If you'd like to help support the mission of Ethical Society today, you can scan the QR code on the screen to make a gift online. Throughout the month of August, we're also conducting a short pilot program. Instead of passing the collection baskets during platform, we have donation boxes in the foyer. That's back there. There's some enthusiasm there. Good. So if you typically give in person, we hope you'll continue to do so by either using the QR code or the boxes. Your participation will help us make a thoughtful, informed decision. Thank you all for sustaining our mission with your gifts, however you give them. Now I will share some announcements from our community. Do you have fun ideas to raise funds for the society? Share them by filling out the fundraising idea poll at the QR code on the screen. Thank you, Bear. You're so good at queuing things up. The poll only takes 3 minutes, perhaps less, depending on how much you know your idea. And your feedback helps shape future events at the society. The power to have fun things, make it happen. Okay, that was my addition. Finally, today is the day. What day? It's the long-awaited, highly anticipated ice cream social. Yes! All right, the caring team invites everyone to join us downstairs after platform for complimentary ice cream and non-dairy frozen desserts. Everyone is included. And new this year, there's a selection of nearly a dozen toppings. Oh my gosh. Don't miss the opportunity to chill out, become part of warm conversation, topped with heaps of goodwill. Get back to my page. Okay. For their final musical selection this morning, coming up, guys, Acoustik Element brings their signature sound to one of the most recognizable songs in American popular music. The melody may be one we know, but the sound, texture, and experience can be entirely different. Please welcome Acoustik Element back for their interpretation of the Eagles' Hotel California. Hooray. Wonderful. Thank you, Acoustik Element, for sharing your music with us this morning. Yes. Oh, thank you, Judy, for sharing your story. Judy moved, so I can't. There's Judy. Thank you. And thank you, Dennis, for inviting us to look beyond the labels and assumptions that can shape how ideas are understood in public life. Free yourself from the brainwashing. This morning has reminded us that ideas can change as they move through history and culture. They can be clarified or distorted, thoughtfully examined, or reduced to shorthand. Part of our responsibility as free thinkers is to look beyond those simplifications and seek a fuller understanding of ourselves. As we continue through Members Speak Month, I hope you'll take time to learn from one another. Start a conversation with someone about something they care deeply about. Ask what they've been reading, thinking about, or trying to understand more fully. Follow their curiosity for a while. We each carry knowledge, experiences, and passions that can open new ways of seeing the world for someone else. After platform, we invite everyone downstairs for coffee, conversation, and community. If you're visiting with us today, and ice cream, yes, thank you. I shouldn't forget that. If you're visiting with us today, we'd love to meet you and give you ice cream. And please stop by the visitors table downstairs to say hello, ask questions, and learn more about our community. May we leave today with the confidence that there is always something new to discover in the world around us and in one another. Thank you for being here this morning. See you next Sunday.